Hello, I'm Declan Chidlow. I usually go by Vale online. I'm a front-end developer, a bit of a writer. Um, in fact, I've been doing more writing than development recently, but they pair very well together, especially when talking about AI and writing about development and such. So that's kind of what I've been doing. That's kind of who I am, writing, developing, stuff to that nature.
It says on your website also designer, and I noticed that very quickly as soon as I move my cursor around on your website. Like it's a I don't know why you've done this, but I like it. It's really
Oh,
cool.
the
For anyone just listening, as you move the cursor around, it sort of creates like a explosion of characters out from where your cursor position is. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah, years and years ago, I found it on GitHub.
Mm,
Someone had put together kind of a little proof of concept one,
mm,
but unfortunately, it didn't wasn't quite there performance wise. So I went through and I cleaned it up a little bit and made it not send people's mobiles into a molten puddle of slush.
mm,
And yeah, it's been pretty good. And lots of people do like playing with it. And I found myself just moving my cursor around, just
mm,
playing with it, just creating puddles and things.
mm.
Good fun.
I think a problem a lot of people have with websites is they over design things, right? Especially when people do consider themselves a designer in a sense. There's a lot of people who they put a lot of cool things in the site, but it ends up being just super cluttered. And even though you do have this and some of the like nice little things here and there, it's still a very clean site where you can actually navigate and not drive yourself insane.
Yeah, I read a really interesting thing at one point
Mm,
about like a about how you can kind of display information with
mm,
it slowly getting more granular the more people are interacting with it. So in my case, I've got things on my website where they only appear on hover and when you're actually trying to achieve a task.
mm,
So it's not overwhelming a user. It's not showing them everything at once. It's just showing the little bits that
mm,
they want when they're doing things. If they're hovering over the sidebar on my site, it'll show the heading items, for example.
mm.
And otherwise, it's just completely out their way and it isn't bothering them at all.
Yeah, I
So
didn't even realize that
I
was
thought that
there
was
until
always an
I went
interesting way
back
to
to the
handle
site
things.
last night.
Oh, I only added that in the other day. It was
Ah.
only I was reading something and had that really cool effect on it,
Mhm.
and I went, "Oh, I want that now."
No, it is super cool. I do like it, and I don't know. This is probably awful content for people who are just listening because I do. There are some people who just listen to the
Yeah,
show, but I recommend going to Veil.rocks. It is a really really nice website. I am not a designer. For anyone who's seen my website, it's not great. It exists and it's very outdated, and I probably should do something with it, but I haven't.
no, all the best websites are outdated. The best ones look like they're straight out the '90s,
Well,
built in
that's a
Microsoft
bit
front
different.
page or something.
That's a bit
Nah,
different, right?
nah,
Like if you have a design that looks like it's from the 90s, that's fine. It's the content on the website that's outdated.
nah. No matter how you put it together, a website is a website, and a
Mm,
website is fantastic.
mm, mm. That's fair. That's fair. Well, while we're on the topic, when did you sort of get interested in development, and why did you decide to start doing like front end stuff?
Oh, I don't know. I've always liked computers. Back in like primary school years and years ago, I
Mm,
was I think I replaced the tech guy there. I was running around classrooms and providing support and that to all the teachers. So I've always had a big love for tech and like hacking things together. Especially like bodging things last minute. It's always been fun.
mm,
And I think I've done a lot of design stuff as well.
mm,
So I think I kind of gravitated towards front end development in terms of a collaboration between sort of like design things and development things,
mm, mm,
kind of just mushing them together into a amalgamation of being able to make something and share it with people. And
mm,
especially, building for the internet, being able to build something, share it with people, and people being able to read it and access it and see it, it's really fantastic. And
mm,
it's something that kind of development allows you to do. So, you know, I think that's kind of how I got into it, how I kind of found it as a thing I wanted to do.
mm, mm. So you like having a very sort of visual result of the programming you do, right? Like there's a lot of people who really enjoy the idea of getting something to work. You'll see people who do this like low end back end development where it's like you're reverse engineering drivers, right? And you're like, I like the idea of being able to control a device that I couldn't control before. But at least from the way that you're saying it, it's more like you like seeing something happen like visually through your programming.
Absolutely. I can never do backend. I've done backend bits before, but I am a terrible backend dev because I have to create like a sizable amount of something before I can tell that it's worked. Whereas I can start up a HTML file and start writing things down, and I've got something, and I can add CSS, and that's something else, and then JavaScript, and that's something else on top of that. And I can just keep building up on it and layering it. But with backend dev, you need to have at least created something to start as a general rule. And I can't do that. I'm just terrible in terms of not having something kind of materializing in front of me as I'm ideating and building on.
I totally get that as well. Like I don't know. I've always had. I don't really think I've ever had like a main thing I focused on. Like for a while I was very interested in doing web stuff, but I've sort of like gravitated around. And right now I'm not really doing as much development stuff as I would like to be doing. Right now, pretty much the only stuff I'm doing is, hey, I need some script to do a thing, throw something together in Python. I really need to get back into doing development work because I really did enjoy it, and I really enjoyed just messing around with like new pieces of tech. And that's something which I don't know, I do in a different way now. I sort of approach it from the use perspective where I'm messing around with new pieces of software. But I really did enjoy trying out different frameworks, trying out different libraries, and just seeing what is out there and what you can do, and just trying out new languages as well.
Yeah, especially experimenting with the cutting edge. It's, I mean, there is the tendency for front-end development to overcomplify. We won't question my choice of language or my making up of language for that matter.
No, people know that I can't speak English as well. It's just a normal Australian thing.
Yeah. But just increasing complexity and building things up, especially as fancy new things come out and wanting to play with them, wanting to experiment. You do have to kind of restrain yourself in some respect there, and no, I must do the thing I must do rather than play with the new thing. But yeah, oh well.
Yeah, that's always been a problem. Well, maybe not always, but at least ever since I got into web development, it was always the layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and there's always some new exciting framework that people are talking about. I have no idea what like the current exciting thing is, but I was getting into stuff when React was popular, and then people were talking about this other framework and this other framework. Like, if you're trying to keep up with the latest thing in the web space, things just move way too quickly. And frankly, I think this is the reality that a lot of people in that space don't really want to admit. Most of the work isn't the exciting new frameworks. Most of the work is, hey, you want to maintain some 15-year-old jQuery website. It's not crazy exciting stuff. It's, we have a thing, make it keep working.